maybe we could start kind of digging into these tools. What
Yeah,
are they? How do we use them? When can we use them? Take us through.
yeah. So real quick, I'll mention two names, and I'd be happy to share links with you later or whatever. Dr. Susan's linking to my blog. We'll make that work. But mindful self-compassion, like the concept, was created by Dr. Kristin Neff and Chris Germer. And there are three components to mindful self-compassion. The first one, shock, is mindfulness. And the definition of mindfulness is present moment awareness without judgment. Um, so if you participated in the centering today, you probably had some good present moment awareness. And anytime you think, oh, my leg, you have present moments awareness. Well done. The key is without judgment. And that is hard. That is really, really hard. Um, Now, with physical discomfort, pain, etc., uh, you probably don't judge yourself personally for that. You don't think, damn it, Rebecca, Rhonda, Karen, why are you hurting now? However, you might judge yourself if you have a moment of, oh, I am so tired. I can't get anything done today. If I'd exercised yesterday, I would have the energy to do something today. Or if I'd eaten a better breakfast, I would have the energy. Or, there's so many ways we pile on to ourselves. So being able to notice that judgment will help loosen the hold on it. And maybe, eventually the judgment won't pop up as much. And
Mhm.
I could actually, it's not even maybe. It happens. I've had that experience myself. So thing one, present moment awareness without judgment. That's the mindfulness piece. The second piece is acknowledging I'm not alone in this. Like other people feel this way. And that is common humanity. That is what the official mindful self-compassion people call it. And it's a moment of going from isolation to, oh, poor me, why is this happening to me, which are absolutely fair feelings to have, to be more expansive and thinking, yeah, you know what, I've got people next to me and around me and across the globe who are having a hard time as well. And in that sort of a moment for me, I really connect with other people across the globe who have MS. People I've met in Dr. Susan's programs, people I've met at programs in the community. It's a huge community, and if you can draw on the strength of those numbers, what a glorious thing. All right, the third piece is really the compassion piece. It's self-kindness. Like, again, when those voices come up who say, lazy, you should be doing more, etc., just noticing them and turning them down and coming up with something kind to say to yourself. So, I've been yammering on a lot. I would love to do two activities with you. The first one looks a little goofy. I've watched myself doing it on camera a lot, so feel free to turn your camera off or just not do it. But this is my very favorite, like, mindful self-compassion hack, which is if you are having a moment, could be with a partner, with a child, with a work situation, or even just with yourself, and you are frustrated and falling into just like your mind is racing and everything else, you can touch yourself. Now, I did say I talk about sex a lot. That's not what I mean. What I mean is soothing touch. So our bodies, as you probably know, don't know the difference between a physical threat, like a bear chasing after you, and a mental threat, which can be other people saying mean things to you, or it can be you saying mean things to yourself. So what you can do in these moments is pretty much the same sort of thing you do to a sad child who is coming to you, which is offer some sort of soothing touch that really can settle the nervous system. Again, it won't make everything better, but it will just make things a little bit easier. So I'm going to go through a handful of soothing touch motions. Please try. Christy, I want to touch on that, and it's true, isn't it? So as you think of that, as you think of like the last time you were a jerk to yourself, or your temper got short with somebody else and you thought, oh, what am I doing? You could put your hand on your heart. I'm closing my eyes, so if you don't want to turn your camera off, I'm not looking at you. You can put both hands on your heart. You can even just clasp your hands together and rest them in your lap, making sure your shoulders are relaxed too. You can give yourself a little squeeze, so like a little hug just for you. You can put one hand on your cheek, or both hands on your cheek. This one I always like to sit in just a little bit, because this is the sort of thing my mother does to me when I'm visiting. And you can also just rub in small circles on your chest. All right, I'm opening my eyes now. And if one of those worked for you, if more than one worked for you, that's awesome. You can also come up with your own version. And if you're like, this just doesn't land for me, you can always like pet a dog or a cat, or grab your kid and say, I need a hug. You know, there's so many things you can do. But I really love, if you're ever in a meeting with me and you see me doing this, you're going to know something's going on. But like, you could just have some mild indigestion. Who knows? Nobody's going to know what you're doing. All right, so that's like the mindful self-compassion hack. I'm going to lead you through a quick meditation now. And I invite you again to bring to mind some time where you were frustrated with yourself or with your body, keeping it like a 2 or a 3 in a scale of 1 to 10. No need to ruin your afternoon or evening by leaning into this feeling, but just get in that, I'm a little annoyed right now feeling. And we're going to do a self-compassion break, which touches on the 3 pieces of mindful self-compassion that I mentioned before. Whenever you're indulging in mindful self-compassion, please feel free to use a little soothing touch. So I'm going to put my hand on my heart. And the first step is to acknowledge or name the emotion or whatever challenge is going on. So you might say, I feel frustrated. I feel sad. And if you can't put your finger on what the emotion is, ouch. Ouch can really sometimes encapsulate it. Then acknowledge that you're not alone. You could think or say, lots of people feel this way. Having MS is hard, and people across the globe know it. I am not alone. Now, the third piece is self-kindness. So remind yourself to be kind. May I be kind to myself. May I love myself. May I remember that I'm a good person. None of these phrases need to be the phrase for you. Just find something that rings true and take a deep breath or two and let it all go. And come back when you're ready. And that's mindful self-compassion in a nutshell. Acknowledge what's going on. Acknowledge that you're not alone. Come up with some wishes for kindness for yourself.
I particularly love step 2 because it sort of takes the drama out of it for me. I'm the only person who's ever experienced this. This is the worst thing in the world, right? Like I think and talk in a lot of hyperbole. But if I can just stop and remember, no, there are other people kind of going through this. And not to minimize what I'm feeling, but also acknowledging like I'm not unique.
Yeah.
It's okay. Like I'm not the first person and I'm not the last person who's gone through this. That helps me a lot.
Yeah. Oh, good. I'm so glad.
Thank you. And like it just feels like there's this community behind it, even though it's maybe all in my head, like imagining people across the globe.
Yeah, I was doing a mindful self-compassion presentation in the fall with a woman who is a breast cancer survivor. And she found mindful self-compassion when she was undergoing treatment. And she said that whenever she did a self-compassion break, she would picture all the women around the world surviving breast cancer now and who had done it in the past. It's like this wonderful, I believe she even said she imagined them giving her a hug. And I thought, oh my God, what a beautiful image.
And visualization's powerful.
Yeah.
It can change the flow of neurotransmitters, hormones, cytokines. We can actually influence our physiology and what's happening inside us chemically, biochemically, just with the thoughts that we engage in.
Yeah.
We do have some control over that.
Would it be okay with you? And more importantly, would it be okay with Christy if I requested that Christy come off mute and tell us a little about what she said in the chat? If you're up for it, Christy. If you're not, no big deal.
Yeah, sure. I don't mind. Okay, so I was just saying that I tend to absolutely have a lot of disappointment in my life with MS. I was a promising student, and I'll just give you a little quick promising student, promising employee at my job, just always like manager's right-hand man. And I've had some, as we all have here, a downfall in some of my capabilities and functions. So, and I tend to judge myself pretty harshly for that. Even though I know that I'm doing the best I can. So I thought yesterday, like, how can I have more acceptance for myself? And I recently had a manager's like self-evaluation or I did my own self-evaluation. I had my manager's evaluation through work. And I thought, why couldn't I frame my views of myself through that lens? So I was laying in bed last night and because when a manager gives you an evaluation, typically they're not scrutinizing every single bit of you, right? And they see your successes and they also can see some of your ways of improvement. And so I was laying in bed and I thought to myself, okay, well, I did really well yesterday within my capabilities of working through my responsibilities for the day. I can't compare myself to the past. I have to compare myself, if I'm going to have any comparison or any judgment or whatever you want to say for yourself, it's, did I do the best that I can do with what I'm able to do today, not compared to who I used to be. So anyway, so I said to myself, okay, well, I know that I did the best that I can within my capabilities today, and I should be proud of that. And then I didn't get a chance to exercise yesterday. So I thought, okay, well, I'm not going to judge myself for not exercising. I'm just going to say I can try again tomorrow. Not a judgment, just effort to do it in the future.
Oh, Christy, thank you so much for sharing all of that. There were so many beautiful things in there. And I especially love the idea of giving yourself a review for today as if you were a kind and compassionate manager. Like, how lovely to think of. Like, I had a really great boss at my events job, and I'm going to use that in the future when I've come to the end of a rotten day. I'm going to say, all right, what would my Caroline say about how I did today? You also reminded me of something I saw online once, which was, some days on a scale of 1 to 10, a 10 is a 6. In that if you are, maybe a better mathematical way of phrasing it, I think would be like, if you only have 60% to give, then you're giving 100% if you're giving 60%. Being able to know that the scale moves day to day can be incredibly freeing. So thank you for that reminder.
And also a reminder that, we treat others generally with a lot of compassion and respect, but sometimes we forget to do that for ourselves. So treating ourselves as we would treat others, I think, is really important, not just reserving that for others.
Yeah, it's kind of like a reverse golden rule.
Yeah, exactly. It is.
Spend so much time remembering to treat others as we'd like to be treated, but really flip that and reverse it.
Yeah. There's a question about EFT or somatic movements. Is that something you have any experience with? Emotional freedom technique?
I do not. I have a little bit of experience with somatics. And like this, the gestures, the soothing touch gestures are all related to somatics, but neither of those are my area of expertise.
But what I will tie in that with is that what the meditation that you did at the beginning, where you brought in all the senses, that is actually a technique to ground ourselves when we just need a little support. And it helps to integrate the mind and body when we turn on the senses. And that's something we can always tap into, right? If I'm having a difficult moment, I'll say, like, name 3 colors in the room, name 2 sounds that I can hear, and 1 smell. And if I can do that in a slow enough manner, rather than doing it all in 10 seconds, like, it takes me out of my automatic behaviors. And I've now turned on those senses, which kind of helps us connect to our subconscious, actually, and to get out of the automatic, knee-jerk reflexes that we have. Yeah. So I want to talk about one of your blogs, where you talked about hope versus reality, because I think this is very relevant to what we're talking about today.